pumpkins, cucumbers, squash, luffa, melons. Welcome to the family of gourds. So what you're about to see today is part 1 of 5 videos on a series of growing gourds. What I plan to do in this series is to introduce you to a lot of common gourds that you can grow in your garden, and also go over the techniques of what's best for your gourds to thrive in your garden. So all that you see on the screen right now are different kinds of gourds. And in this 5-part series, we will start with an introduction to the gourds. We will then look at growing cucumber, snake gourd, bottle gourd, and finally sponge gourd. I decided to split up the video so that it's easier for you to understand each section separately, and that also makes it easier for me to present all the different gourds in a proper way. So let's jump to the first most important part about growing gourds, the trellis. Gourds can grow to a height of 6 to 10 feet, even more than that if you let them grow. So as you can see here, I have used PVC pipes to prepare a trellis which is about 6 foot tall, and then used netting around it so that the gourds can grow around it. One of the common mistakes while growing gourds is that we do not give it enough space to run around and vine into a lot of area. The gourds can send out a lot of vines, as you will see towards the end of the video. In this area that I'm growing gourds, these vines have not only crawled up above the trellis, but have also gone over towards the roof of the house. Now within the trellis you will still have some space to plant some other vegetables other than gourds. So what I've done here is I've planted a little bit of everything inside these areas. I've got some taro root growing, some cilantro, some sweet potato vines as well that are growing. So you can still make use of the area within your bed while your gourds grow around the trellis which is around your bed. So now that we have the most important aspect covered, let's go to tip number 2, which is how to counter powdery mildew. Now most of the gourds are born with powdery mildew. You will get powdery mildew sooner or later. So there's one trick that really works well against powdery mildew, and you'll be surprised that what I'm going to use is probably what you already have at home with you right now. So to counter powdery mildew, what we're going to do is use milk. Now the most important thing to remember is that you should not use whole milk. You should not use 2% or 1% milk. But what you do need to use is skim milk or fat-free milk. Milk that is completely free of fat. The powdery mildew is substantially reduced by spraying this solution that you see on the screen, which is pretty much very simple. It's 5 parts of water to 1 part of milk, which means that you put 1 cup of milk, put 5 cups of water, and you're done with your solution. And what you do is just spray your plants with it every 1 week for at least 3 weeks. So once the plants are a bit established, I would give it about a month or so for the leaves to develop. And you can see how nice these leaves are. There's no powdery mildew because they have been sprayed with the milk solution. So what the milk solution does is it lets the plants absorb the protein that's there in the milk, and it helps it fight the powdery mildew that settles on those leaves. The third tip that I would like to share with you for growing gourds is what kind of fertilizer or what kind of feeds they consume. So gourds are very shallow rooted, so as you can see I've planted them in these 10-inch raised beds, out of which about 8 inches is filled with soil. So while laying out the soil itself, I added a lot of rich organic matter, lots of compost, lots of wood chips, bat guano, feather meal, kelp meal, and a lot of other ingredients that were already available in my pre-packaged potting mix. Now these things do take time to settle down, so what I would suggest is give it at least 2 or 3 months. Now what I noticed with my raised beds was that I wasn't getting a lot of healthy growth in the beginning. But after about a couple of months, the plants really took off. So by adding all these organic ingredients, you still have to wait for at least a couple of months for you to see results. Now, another thing that you might want to do is, if you do not have all these organic matter, or you for some reason prefer to use synthetic fertilizers, use a slow release fertilizer that will feed the plant for up to 3 months very easily, and that should take care of all your fertilizing needs. So the choice is yours. You can either go with a lot of organic matter, with a lot of well-balanced organic fertilizers, or you could use an synthetic slow release fertilizer, whatever fits your bill. So as you can see here now, most of the gourds have started growing. That was the snake gourd. The other gourds, like the sponge gourd, is growing. It's coming up with some great looking flowers, ready to be pollinated by the bees. And it's started growing above the 5-foot height now. The vines are growing pretty strong and nice. That's the bottle gourd growing, and it sent out some nice fruits that will produce a lot of bottle gourds. That's the snake gourd again. That's a white variety, the long one. The green one is the bottle gourd. The white one is the snake gourd. And you can grow all these gourds together, and as you can see here, it's almost like a jungle here now. And the plants have started growing towards the roof of the house. So the gourds will grow in a very prolific way as long as you provide it with basic nutrients. There are almost no insects on these gourds. And towards the end of the growing season, you can see how big these vines have grown. And we will go over each individual gourd separately in our future series of videos. But you can see here in general, the whole gourds area is just massive. And it's growing a lot of different types of gourds inside this area. And as you can see, the PVC trellis has lived up really well to its expectations. And this is another view. You can see how the vines have gone all above the trellis and the area above the trellis as well. So I hope you like the introduction to gourds. Stay tuned for 4 more episodes where we will be going through all the different kinds of gourds that you can grow in your garden.